Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to another exciting episode of T3PO Live! Oh, yes, it is your favorite hour of the week. At least one of mine. Because, that park place, we cover a lot of Walt Disney World stories, and we're going to cover them here. Don't rest on that. We are absolutely going to cover some breaking Walt Disney World stories, in fact. But it's always great to hang out with a couple of friends and go over stories involving all theme parks. And, that includes my home park of Disneyland. And to help tell those stories and much more, we have an amazing panel for you. And I think maybe additional members will be joining as well. I'm not sure. But let me go ahead and get him on right now. It is Bob, BearPlays28, and MJ making her triumphant return. Hello there!
Hello. Thanks for having us.
Well, and thank you.
Excited to be here.
Oh yes. Excited to have you here. I think MJ, your mic is just a little bit soft here, so I'm going to go ahead and turn you up in the background so that way everybody can enjoy everything that you have to say. I want to go ahead and thank everybody for joining us here. I think the WW Pro show is running a little bit long today because they just had some breaking news we'll be covering here as well. But I don't want to start out with that. Let's start off with a couple of interesting stories here. That, man, it is fascinating how the Disney World works sometimes, and that being part of the Disney parks experience. Let me see if I can bring this up here. I do apologize, guys. Okay, here we go. So we had some amazing video actually come out of Disneyland Resort involving a fireworks shell that actually went a little bit off course and hit the nearby 5 freeway. Now, let me see if I can go ahead and share my screen and give you the visuals on this. Just, it shocked even me because you typically don't see these actually recorded. I have heard stories of things going astray, but to actually see it is really something. This is by Disney Scoop Guy. The fact that someone was able to get a video of a Disneyland firework hitting the freeway makes me wonder how often it happens when someone isn't recording. Let's see if I actually have the video playing here. Here you go. You can see here, typical Disneyland fireworks. This actually recorded from the back of the park, and that's going to be relevant here in a second. And whoopsie daisy, right onto the 5 freeway. That is super scary, especially if you were, one of the ones driving on that particular roadway at that time of day. But I want to go ahead and highlight just where exactly this all is happening and where all this is taking place. You can see right here, this is actually Disneyland here in the foreground, and if I back up just a little bit, you can actually see where that video might have been taking place at this nearby resort hotel, I do believe, and this is roughly where that is. What you're looking at right now is the Team Disney Anaheim building off to your right there, and the Team Disney Anaheim building, everybody inside basically operates the Disneyland Resort. All those decisions are made right there, with obviously some consultation with Burbank and Florida, interestingly enough. Right beside that, you can actually see the roundhouse in which both the Disneyland Monorail and the Disneyland Railroad are actually kept. And right next to it is the 5 freeway. So when these fireworks actually do pop off, there is a concern, Bob, that, when gusts of winds actually take place, or when a shell goes rogue, which, does occasionally happen. These are explosions in the sky with these air-launched fireworks and so forth. The worry is that they do maybe put those at risk in the surrounding area, especially the nearby town of Anaheim. Please, Bob, your thoughts on this story. Were you as surprised as I was? Because you don't typically see this.
Well, you don't typically see it, but I think it happens from time to time where we haven't, seen the video captured. And one of the things they do every single night, obviously, is they test the winds to see how it's going to be. And a lot of people think, well, they're just not doing it because they don't want to do the fireworks. Sometimes the winds are a lot higher in elevation and they're blowing a lot quicker. The other thing is, too, if the wind is blowing towards the freeway, they typically will not do the fireworks because they're fearful that things like this may happen. This obviously just happened to be a rogue firework that just went off on its own, and it looks like it didn't shoot up as high as it normally does and just kind of went off to the side. But that's why they sometimes do not do the fireworks. And then the same token, I don't know if you realize this, but a lot of people, have to wait to go into Toontown or on a certain rides in Fantasyland and whatnot, because they are looking at all the fire marshals are walking around to make sure that there's no, fireworks that went into a building and caught fire or something like that. So, and by the way, they do have these fire marshals all over the place, backstage, front stage, Fantasyland, and you can usually see them watching the fireworks, and they're watching to see where they're going and what's happening. So they are trying to prevent things from like this happening, but unfortunately they do every once in a while happen. And obviously that's their biggest fear, is they don't want something like this to happen, especially, that could have been a really bad accident. Thankfully, the car that ran into that firework, just kept going, and nothing majorly happened on the freeway. But could you imagine that would cause a major pileup, had the driver, lost control of their car?
Man, it's just, I shiver to think what could actually happen in that particular instance. MJ, I know you're more, how should I put this? You're more in tune with maybe Walt Disney World and their fireworks operations. Those shells are massive. They are huge. You can see them across Seven Seas Lagoon, and they are very, very big. And that's one of the big differences between that resort and Disneyland, because you have just that city encroaching so closely to that property. You just can't have shells that big. But Walt Disney World, it really is quite impressive. Your experiences with fireworks, and are you surprised by this video as well?
I'm actually not shocked that firework ended up where it did, because if you go back to like the map where you were showing us, it's so Disneyland is so condensed, and like the freeway is like right there, and like in Disney World, the freeway is so far away, and they have such a mass, land to work with.
Blessing of size.
Yeah. So, but these things, like Barry said, they do happen. Let's just thank God that no one got injured, because that could have easily landed on a car, because that thing, if you look at the way it landed, it's like it looks like a bomb exploded in the middle of the freeway. It's absolutely phenomenal how no car got impacted by that. It's incredible.
That would freak me out if I was going down the roadway and just, like you said, like this incendiary device actually popped off right in front of my car. that'd be extremely concerning. And even at Walt Disney World, because those shells are so massive, and sometimes you do have rogue shells that go off, and maybe you have debris that falls that's still hot. I know they do soak down. There's actually sprinkler systems installed in some of the new Fantasyland facades and exteriors that actually soak down those rooftops, just to ensure that there's no fires, which is I wouldn't say it's a common occurrence, but it does happen from time to time. And MJ is completely right. If we look at this map right here, this is the fireworks launch point for the entire Disneyland Resort right there. Now, there are other launch points at the castle and on top of Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. I think there are some on top of Small World, if I'm not mistaken. But suffice to say, it's not nearly as complex as Walt Disney World, where they have those multiple launch points for special events and so forth. But that launch point that you can see right there, it is well within proximity of many structures, many lands. This is why Mickey's Toontown, for example, has to close before the evening's fireworks shows, and hopefully reopens afterwards. The Fantasyland attractions had to close because of the proximity to not only the rear launch point, but to the castle launch point. I mean, it's a whole orchestration here, and it's interesting. Bob, do you remember this? You remember with Remember Dreams Come True fireworks? That was the 50th anniversary fireworks for the Disneyland Resort. That was 2005. They'd have to really impact all kinds of operations across the resort to have that show take place. I think they had to stop the monorail I don't let the Matterhorn had to go down, but I know the train had to go down. Like there were multiple things that had to take place to provide for that show.
Yeah, it's a bummer when those things go down, but it's kind of understandable, why they do it. I think that I'm fine with the precautions. When I'm streaming in the park and it's like, oh, wow, they just had the fireworks show and now we've got to wait until about 10:15 before we can go into Toontown or on certain rides or, before they open Fantasyland. It is kind of a pain, but at the same time, it's for everyone's safety to make sure that everything's good and, ready to go. So I'm fine with it. There's other places in the park you can go and check things out and see things before they open up. And again, it's only shut down for just a short period of time. I do know that they do, to get things ready though, they start shutting down Fantasyland like around 8 p.m. and Toontown at 8 p.m. and then the fireworks don't happen for an hour and a half. So that's a little bit of pain, but hey, they got to get ready. They got to get everything set up. And as you can see, these fireworks are not, this is not a short show. It's like 15 to 20 minutes, depending on, which show that they're doing. But, Disney does take precautions in other places too. Like over in, France, they don't do the big mortar shells like we have here. They're more of like the sparkler type that just shoot up in the air. And it's because it's nothing but countryside all around them. And it's a lot of, not necessarily dry grass, but there's not a lot of wetland like in Walt Disney World. Obviously we don't have any wetland there at Disneyland, but they do take precautions. They've been doing them for years. So I think that this is just unfortunate that it's a rogue one. And from the video, or not the video, but the map you're showing where those fireworks take off, I mean, it's right next to the freeway. So it's not hard for a rogue firework to go off into a neighborhood or on the freeway or elsewhere. Again, they try to prevent that from happening. That's why they usually cancel the fireworks if the wind's not, going in the right direction or if it's too windy. But sometimes things just happen, and that's what happened here.
Yeah, when examining the history of Disneyland, you'll often see, Stanford Research Institute talking about the proximity of Disneyland to the 5 freeway and how that was like a big deal. I think C.V. Wood or maybe it was Harrison Post Price got word that the 5. There were a lot of city planners and a lot of I believe even federally, you had a lot of people saying this is going to be a major artery for Southern California. Like this is the one you kind of want to be next to if you're planning out anything, especially like a theme park or first of its kind attraction in 1955. So it was very critical to be next to it. But I think for Walt Disney, I think he wanted to be just a little bit away from it. He didn't want to be like up on it like you see right here. That's only because the park has grown so much since 55 and they've been able to acquire more land and so forth, and that's why that proximity is so close. And it's unfortunate because the wind, if that wind picks up, if you're at Disneyland and a local, that there's a great possibility that fireworks presentation is canceled for the night because, for like we see in the video right here, those shells go astray. Well, now you are impacting an entire city. You're impacting nearby roadways and so forth, and so it can be definitely a safety hazard for sure. And that's why those things are canceled, much to the chagrin, just maddening frustration of Disneyland fans who are trying to see the fireworks presentation, especially if you're only there for a weekend and you're only going to be in Disneyland one night and you're hoping for the fireworks and they don't go off. That's happened to me on more than one occasion. But well, now you know why. Ooh, man, that is some really interesting stuff right there. We have 101 viewers actually in the chat right now. Thank you so much. Very much appreciate that. We have a bunch of people actually chatting away out there. We have Space Dave 2000. Thank you so much. We have Deborah. We have Nolan Thunder, who unfortunately couldn't be here, but is offering his support from where he's at, I guess, recovering. And I hope you have a speedy recovery, Nolan. It's sad that you aren't here, but I know it is for the best. Nolan Thunder with the 499. Go Vash! Best host on YouTube. I don't know about that. Bob, he's quite the host over there as well at both Barry Place 28 and your Park Streamers Hangout. Bob,
yeah.
Real fast, I know you've got all kinds of guests lined up. We talked about it before on the phone before. All kinds of guests lined up for the next, I don't know, month or so. Is there anybody you want to let out of the hat right now to give our viewers a little bit of an insight to what Park Streamers Hangout might be hanging out with?
Well, I have a couple guests that I have not confirmed yet, so I don't want to say exactly, but we definitely have Bob Weiss that's coming back on the show, which will be great in October. But yeah, I'm working on a couple other guests at the moment, and I'm hoping I can announce them soon. But we just last night we had Matthew Reinhardt and Charlie Price. They actually created the Disneyland pop-up tour book, and it's a really neat book. So definitely check that out. We've had Eddie Sato on. We've had obviously Bob Weiss, Don Hahn, legendary producer. We've had Chris Merritt. Who else? We've had Josh Shipley, another former Imagineer. We had Spaceship Ears, which is John DeCoeur and his father, and John DeCoeur Jr. as well as Senior, both work for Disney, and we're Imagineers. So, now my cat's trying to jump in behind me. But yeah, go to the Park Streamers Hangout. It's amazing. We cover a lot of great stuff, and we've had a lot of great guests. And actually, I think for once we do not have a guest on our next show on the 22nd of September because we've been so busy nonstop. I think Danny and Corey are like, stop the guests for a while. We've had too many.
People will remember Bob Weiss was head of Imagineering for some time right there, and in fact, actually traded places with a head position at Gensler, and then the head of Gensler became the head of Imagineering first. It was some crazy stuff right there, but obviously most noteworthy for his work on Disney's MGM Studios back in the day, getting that attraction project out of the ground, and also too Shanghai Disneyland did a lot of work on, if I'm not mistaken, Tokyo. So great stuff right there, and Bob and the guys do an incredible job hosting all kinds of Disney royalty. So very cool, very awesome stuff. Definitely check out Park Streamers Hangout. Oh, yes, indeed. Now, MJ, for this next one, I'm going to lean on you just a little bit because I know you're, like I was saying before, you have visited Walt Disney World plenty of times. I only visited twice in my life. I think I know it pretty well, but I can't probably compare to your visitation. What am I talking about, guys? I am talking about the Rivers of America. No article for this one, but we do have video. This provided by Ron from Follow the Bradley's Fun over there on YouTube. You can see right here, that isn't a shot of the Rivers of America from several weeks ago where it had a little bit of water still in it. Oh, no. This is from today. This is breaking right now. The Rivers of America, once thought to be completely drained, and I know they had crews and pumps out there to fully drain this river in order to start construction for their new Piston Peak Cars Land project, or I think, what is it? I think Joe just called it Cars Mountain. That's pretty funny. They're going to be on hold for just a little bit longer because during storm season, it looks like the amount of rain that Florida has experienced has actually refilled partially the Rivers of America out there at Magic Kingdom. MJ, how much rain have you guys seen in the last, I guess several weeks, several days? And are you surprised by this result?
I'm not surprised at all. We were just there on Labor Day weekend for my daughter's birthday, and yeah, the amount of rain we are getting, like right now, I live in South Florida. I'm a few hours away from the Walt Disney World Resort, and it is pouring. It is thunderstorming. They were actually showing, my daughter sent me a video on TikTok. I forgot to send it to you so you could show it on here. It is absolutely pouring in the Magic Kingdom right now. It is like, we were so blessed, though, when we went during Labor Day weekend. There was just a few a couple of rain showers, and then it, died off. And then we had some cloudy, not too much sun. We were very blessed. But this is not shocking. That whole area is like a bank just ready to, catch water. And there's obviously very poor infrastructure, because they should have a system in place or something like, okay, you're wasting so much money, you're draining it to make way for this new land, whatever. this is, and look, now there's debris because of the wind in Florida. We have a lot of rain, so of course all the trash and everything's going to end up in there, and it's just ugly. It's not, it's really ugly. It's not a sight to see. You don't even want to be in that area. I mean, it's so sad that it comes down to that. They could at least put something else so we don't see that. I mean, really, it's not.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, Bob. Usually they're Disney, that is, obviously pretty big on show, or at least historically. Anyway, nowadays, community core hall. But besides the point, it's still though you do have a range of work walls that they like to deploy for these big time projects. Obviously, Walcott and so forth. I am kind of surprised that Disney hasn't walled off this area completely, so that what we're seeing right now maybe isn't as easily as viewable as I think the company would dislike it to be. Bob, are you surprised that they haven't walled this off in a more meaningful way in order to prevent these views?
Well, I was kind of surprised too that they haven't, but at the same time, they're not doing a whole lot of work at the moment. They kind of drain the rivers, and they're obviously dismantling things. But I think once they get closer to actually, really demolishing things and building the new, Cars Land, that's when you'll probably see these walls go up so that you can't see all this stuff happening. But not surprised about the water. Unfortunately, it happens. And I just got back from, the Caribbean. There are tons of storms that were out there and headed to Florida. So it happens. And I don't expect them to, drain the water right away until they actually need to. But unfortunately, this happens a lot.
Well, I realize it happens, and I realize this takes place. But they had just finally completely drained this river, and unfortunately, and we covered a story recently on That Park Place talking about the fish, and unfortunately, while they did move out 2,000 fish, unfortunately they were like, and if you're squeamish, folks, please look away at the screen right now, just for 2 minutes. There were rotting fish carcasses at the bottom of Rivers of America, and obviously, smell-wise, that must not have been pleasant, but also visually, just really, honestly, just bad show. And I'm just so surprised that Disney hasn't done something meaningfully about this. Obviously, they did do something about the, stagnating water there, which is good, but you leave debris like this, that's not so good. You leave this within views, that's not so great. I don't know. I'm really shocked by that. But anyway, getting back to Rivers of America being partially full, to utilize so much equipment and so much expensive time, effort, and money to fully drain this river, and then now it's actually filling back up again because, as Jonas beautifully mentioned on the Bro Show, it's built to contain water. I don't know. It just seemed like a little bit of an oversight when you are doing this work in this very stormy season, almost hurricane season, if I recall. MJ, when is hurricane season exactly for Florida typically?
Typically, it starts in June and then it ends around the beginning of November. So we have a big, a few months of dealing with this kind of weather. But the most downpours we have are August. Everyone knows August and September. It is just, bring your ponchos, bring your jackets, bring your umbrellas. This is also why the tickets are so affordable in the month of September. As you can see, it's the cheapest time to go because the weather is crappy and no one wants to be in the park. They're just trying to entice people. Come on, it's 119, and that's for Animal Kingdom. It's still expensive to go to Magic Kingdom, is the most expensive park. And with that being said, this is the most visited park in the world. Yep. It's unfortunate. Why, if you're coming in from, another country or something, and you have a vacation plan, you've never been here in your life, and you've seen footage, you've seen videos, and this is what you walk into. This is unacceptable.
It really is. And MJ is completely right about this. We were going to cover the story on that park place. We never really got around to it, but those Labor Day crowds for the Magic Kingdom were very, very low. This exclusive video from Marvin Montanaro, our editor-in-chief of that park place, taken on the day. And I believe with a couple of screenshots of wait times added in here just to round out this picture. But it is profound just how lowly attended this park actually is around this time, because I think there are multiple factors for that. But MJ, you're completely right. The weather just isn't that hospitable. It's not quite Halloween season just yet, so a lot of people might not be making their way in the park for that holiday specifically, unless you have maybe a ticket to Mickey's Not So Scary. Obviously it's hot coming out of August right there. It's muggy, it's humid, it's all those different things. And yeah, typically, you have this kind of, they call it a price elasticity over there at Disney, where you lower the prices in order to get people in. But even then, they haven't been super successful at that. And Theme Park Wizard coming in here with the comment 2024 attendance numbers coming out later this month. I'm excited to see them. Very excited to see that as well. That's the TEA numbers, or the theme park, the Themed Entertainment Association numbers, which are the basis for a lot of decisions across the industry. And it is definitely something that we keep track of here at that park place. That's going to be exciting to see. Rivers of America, though, I guess that's going to stay full for a period of time here while Disney gets its act together to finally remove this water and start what is now an anticipated project for multiple reasons, this Cars Land Piston Peak project. We'll keep you all up to date on everything in regards to Rivers of America out there, the Magic Kingdom, and Walt Disney World. All right. That just about does that one. Thank you, MJ. Very much appreciate that. And Bob, amazing commentary as always. And I'm going to lean on you for this next one right here, because we're going back. We're going back to the West Coast at the Disneyland Resort, because we have to cover this story. It's been taking the internet by storm. I see multiple videos on it everywhere. I see a lot of posts on it and all kinds of stuff. What am I talking about? I am talking about this big story out of, well, several places. I think KTLA held the story, and then maybe Orange County Register also had it. But I want to go to this outlet, this Anaheim Investigator. City planners looking at aerial gondola system to connect Platinum Triangle with the Anaheim Resort. And so we have to get a lay of the land here, because this is a complex story, and especially for those who might not be super familiar with how the Disneyland Resort interacts with Anaheim. Again, we have to tell the story proper. This is very interesting. So you have basically, like, what is it? 3 major locations, Bob, that Disney wants, or I should say the city of Anaheim wants to connect, right? You have the Angel Stadium, you have Disneyland Resort / the Anaheim Convention Center, because they're right next to each other. And then you also have basically this kind of terminus, or this major train station that Anaheim did actually get built out there. And they're all within the city, and they're all fairly close to each other, but they're a little bit too far away to walk between each other. That's one. They'd like to connect them, and this is where this gondola system actually comes into play. And this actually goes back to, I guess, Irvine and inking I think a $10 million deal to connect some of their major locations within that city together via a gondola system. It looks like Anaheim might be taking the same route right here. Let's go ahead and dive right in and see if we can't break this down for everybody. This is September 2025, September 2nd, that is. City planners looking at aerial gondola system to connect Platinum Triangle with Anaheim Resort. Internal emails, contracts, and PowerPoint presentations presented or obtained by the Anaheim investigator through the Public Records Act reveal city planners are exploring the option of constructing an aerial gondola system to connect the Platinum Triangle with the Anaheim Resort in preparation for the 2028 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles. By the way, this is Dwayne Roberts over there. The proposed gondola system, which a current or recent estimate suggests will cost up to $125 $1.7 million would be built by Swift Cities, a crowdfunded high-tech startup based in Northern California, and began at a station near the Anaheim Regional Transportation Intermodal Center, a transit hub located close to the Honda Center and Angel Stadium. While the final route has yet to be decided, there seems to be interest in an alignment running east-west along Catella Avenue, featuring 6 stops. At Harbor Boulevard, the line would split into 2 branches, each ending near the eastern entrances of Disneyland, Disney California Adventure theme parks, and the Anaheim Convention Center. Okay. Aerial map. Getting a lay of the land here. You can see this, the top, I guess, left of the map would be Disneyland. And you can see how close it is to proximity to the Anaheim Convention Center. It's just south of that. If you go along, that's the Garden Walk. If you go along even further, that's the Platinum Triangle. And then you have, like, the Honda Center. You have the Angel Stadium right here. And you can see why a city like Anaheim would want to connect all these different pieces together. Bob, my question to you is this a good idea? And your initial thoughts on this. And then we'll talk about how likely it is. But your initial thoughts, please.
So initial thoughts is it's a great idea to try to connect these. I don't know that the gondola system is the right one to go from Angel Stadium all the way out to, you know, the Anaheim Convention Center and back to the Disneyland area. Obviously, right in between those, you've got Garden Walk, which Disney, it's rumored to be buying, and it could be the new downtown Disney, obviously. So that would benefit, you know, Disney as well. I think it's a great idea. I'm just not so sure that the gondola is the best one for this. So it could definitely make it work. But like you said, it would be just one route from the Angel Stadium over to Harbor, and then you've got another one that would go from the Convention Center all the way up to down Harbor to Disneyland. It's really crowded to walk up and down Harbor Boulevard to get to Disneyland. And there's a lot of people that love to go to Garden Walk. And there's a lot of people who are trying to get over to, Angel Stadium. So it makes sense that they'd want to do this. I just don't know if they're going to be able to implement this. And I've never heard of Swiss City, so I don't know, what kind of company they'll be in trying to get this done by 2028, because we really only have, a couple years for them to get all this done. And it's quite a long distance to get this, completed. However, it probably would be a little bit more feasible and manageable to get a gondola system done than like a monorail, which I think would work a lot better.
That's the difficulty with all of this, is that there have been a number of different transit systems proposed by either by the city themselves or at least brought to the city's attention and pitched, hey, look, listen, we can go ahead and do a monorail system. I think Walt actually pitched a monorail system. I don't know if it was for Anaheim or the city of LA. But he did pitch that to city planners in the developing Southern California region at that time, and unfortunately, didn't get very far. Even though a monorail obviously makes sense nowadays, for the cost of all of that, earthquake, regulation and so forth, I just don't think that's going to be feasible in the modern era. But for the city of Anaheim, I mean, I've heard transit, bus transit systems. I've heard autonomous vehicles. I've heard streetcars and so forth. And I think we have Wizard coming in here with this. They gave 3 options: gondola, streetcar, or bus rapid transit. They mention it will take years of study. That is correct. I think the KTLA article actually talked about how they were exploring multiple different methods of transportation. One of those being a gondola. The other actually talking about Tesla, and Tesla is very notable because you have the Boring Company and what they've been able to do with, like, Vegas, for example. We actually also covered a story on That Park Place talking about how that Boring kind of tunnel network of autonomous vehicles was being explored by Universal, actually, to connect various areas of their resort, because, a lot of people have kind of commented that one of the things that keeps Universal from overcoming Disney is that their parks and resorts, especially now with Epic Universe, aren't as interconnected via multiple forms of transit. And it's like, okay, well, can we explore that option? I think the high water table, along with a host of issues, might keep that from coming to a reality. But we did hear about such a transit system in that context as well. I just think it's very fascinating. Now, MJ, I know you might be familiar with the Skyliner system. And the interesting thing about this, and then I'll go ahead and turn it over to you to hear your thoughts on all of this, is that Disneyland Forward in the plans, let me see if I can bring it up here by Scott Gustin, he talked about how in Disneyland Forward, Disneyland were given the ability to include, if they wanted to, the implementation of a people mover system, of, I believe, additional monorails, of land bridges, and a Skyliner type system, which I thought was extremely fascinating and had a lot of people abuzz. You can see right here, these were in the Disneyland Forward plans as examples of methods of transportation that they could now build with the approval of Disneyland Forward to connect various areas of their resort. My question to you is, does a system like the Skyliner work on a city level?
On a city level, absolutely not. It's going to be chaotic. There's going to be so many mechanical issues going on all the time with that kind of, expanded mile range. Like the Skyliner, I'm very familiar with the Skyliner in Disney World here in Florida. They take you to, you can go to Epcot, you can go to, Hollywood Studios. Those are the two parks because it's in that area. And then you got some of the resorts that you can, resort hop on the Skyliner, if you will. But it's not expanding. I mean, it's incredible. We have a Disney bubble here, right, in Florida. I don't see how they're going to be able to have that type of system going into like a city level. They're better off either doing, bus or train or something. I don't see how that's going to. It's going to be too chaotic. I don't see how they're going to get away with that. There's just no way. I mean, the system we have here, if I have footage, I could send it to you. There's like stations after so many, I don't know if you want to call it feet. There's a station where it has to turn another way or redirect you. There's just so many mechanisms involved in a Skyliner. They're not going to be able to do it on a city level. That's going to be way too expensive. It's going to be chaotic. It's going to be probably even unsightly. Like, I don't even know how that would work. I just don't think it's a good idea for this, from what I'm seeing on your side of the world in the west side.
No, that's completely fine. I kind of wanted to know what you thought about it, because I'm not super familiar with the system. I have ridden it before, but I from city planning and definitely from operations standpoint, I am fascinated with, obviously, people moving, various forms of transportation, hourly capacities, and so forth. I'm just not super familiar in practice with the Skyliner. Now, Theme Park Wizard is actually coming here, who, by the way, knows a little bit thing about city planning, folks, and I'll just go ahead and leave it there. Worth noting, other countries have gondola systems of transportation throughout the entire city, way bigger than Walt Disney World. Very, very interesting. How it all works is shown actually in concept art. Let me see if I can get that up on the screen right now. You can see what they would be looking to do. Now, this, I believe, let me just get my bearings straight. Okay, this is Catella, I believe, from an eastern position looking west. So this is down Catella. You can see California Adventure, Cars Land, and Pixar Pier on your right of your screen, and on the left you see the Anaheim Convention Center, and you also see that new hotel that just popped up. Can't remember at the moment. What is it? Was it a West End, Bob? I think that's what popped up there. Anyways,
yep.
You can see kind of what that gondola system might actually look like. And I've always thought about going down harbor. Really never thought about going across Catella, but to be honest, if the intention is to link all these disparate places together, I suppose it makes the most logical sense. Bob, would you support a gondola system like either a Skyliner or an outside company facilitating this, would you support this? Do you think that if pursued and if implemented correctly, it could actually be feasible? I think it might be, but I'm really not sure.
Sure, it could definitely be feasible. I just don't know if this is a great idea. And I know they wanted to try to connect the Amtrak and the Angel Stadium and all this stuff together, but you've got Ubers, you've got people taking their buses or trams from the hotels. You've got people who are staying at the hotels, so they can literally walk across the street or down half a mile to get to the park. So to me, while it's a great idea, it's a little too late to try to plan this for 2028, I think, for the Olympics and whatnot. And really, is it really for the Olympics, or is it really just because they want to be able to manage the traffic and the people? And to me, I don't think it's enough time to do it. I think they could eventually do something like this. It could eventually work. One of the other comments I saw in the chat, I can't remember if it was Jim T or someone else, said, you got the Santa Ana winds that could kick in. They don't come in all the time, but if they definitely kick in for sure, that might shut down the gondolas or whatnot, because they don't really have those issues in Florida with high winds or anything like that. But I don't know. I don't see this happening. I think, and it's like some of the people said in the chat, when you do planning like this, it could take years to do the surveys and figure out what they're going to do. And even though they've kind of planned this out, unless they do something quick and fast, I just don't see it happening. And I think it's kind of a cool idea. And I think if they can make it work, it would be great, because there is a lot of traffic up and down Harbor, especially between Disneyland and the convention center. And it'd be great for people to be able to take something from downtown Disney to the Amtrak or to Angel Stadium. I don't know. I just don't see it really happening anytime soon.
Let's see if we can dive in and get some answers to some of our questions, and maybe perhaps solutions might be found, or other problems that we maybe can't foresee. Let's see here. Emails reviewed by the investigator show Gerald Posky, CEO of Swift Cities, and Clay Griggs, one of the firm's co-founders, Swift Cities being obviously the gondola provider in this case, have already discussed their gondola concept with, quote, key stakeholders such as the Walt Disney Company and OC Vibe, a $4 billion mixed-use district being developed in 100 acres of land surrounding the Honda Center. Indeed, a floor plan by OC Vibe and reproduced in a PowerPoint slide demonstrates their commitment to Swift Cities isn't just limited to offering space for, quote, a maintenance facility, but a control center, charging base, and even a boarding station, all within walking distance of the Anaheim Regional Transportation Intermodal Center. Very interesting. During initial talks with Swift Cities, city planners were told that towers erected to hold the gondola cables in place could be specially customized to resemble the Los Angeles Angels' iconic Big A logo. That'll sell them. An idea which taps into Anaheim's distinct character as being the only city in Orange County that hosts a major league baseball team. Let's see. However, building a gondola system along Cotella Avenue might be problematic. As Posky himself acknowledged in an email, there are, quote, palm trees, literally hundreds of them. Many would have to be removed to make way for towers. It's not inconceivable that could generate opposition from both residents and hoteliers alike. Yeah, those palm trees, by the way, this all goes back to when the Anaheim resort, the resort district, was really founded. That was going to be basically kind of mid to late 1990s. And there was a Herculean effort put on by the city in order to revitalize the area of Anaheim, to make it attractive for hoteliers, but also, too, to keep and maintain Disney in Anaheim. Because remember, they had holdings in Long Beach, and they were truly considering maybe building a Tokyo, maybe not a Tokyo style, but a Disney Sea out there in Long Beach. And so Anaheim did everything that they could to get Disney to invest in Anaheim with the creation of both Disneyland Resort and Disney California Adventure. Very, very interesting stuff. Last December, Swift Cities shared a PowerPoint presentation including that indicated their gondola system, comprising of a fleet of around 35 pods, could be implemented at an estimated cost of roughly $33 to $37 million. And this equated to just under $11 million per mile, subject to variation based on final design and alignment considerations. I believe that did jump up, though. By July, their estimate had changed drastically. In another PowerPoint presentation, Swift City submitted the same month, of which the city of Anaheim paid them a $20,000 consulting fee to produce. Yikes. They reported the gondola system would now cost $125.7 million, or $33 million per mile. It's not known why those numbers tripled. Yikes. That's not good. That's not what you want to see. And that's the kind of the issue with attempting to establish these things. You know, look, and I people might, you know, they might dog me on this for a little bit, but getting some projects approved in a place like Southern California can be very difficult. I think everybody can agree on that, just generally speaking. So that's why when I hear about transit systems like a I don't know, streetcar, or maybe like this gondola system, for instance, I just kind of say, yeah, but you're still in Anaheim. You still have to contend with the city. You still have to contend with this red tape that unfortunately locks out a lot of this kind of unique investment that we see in a place like this. I don't know. I am very hopeful that the city can approve something like this. And like I said, I mean, people were really excited to hear this story and to see this story. Had a lot of videos produced on it and a lot of articles produced, but I just don't know if it'll ever come to reality, and that's a shame. I do agree with MJ and you, Bob. Monorail, that's the way. That's the way to go, really. But even then, it just I don't quite
can't
buy
get
it.
a high-speed rail here in California.
Well, Bob, it's going to hit all these distinct venues in different places, and it's going to go all these different, destinations. And so, oh wait, is it a train to nowhere? Well, that's what one prominent politician, actually says. It's super fascinating. I hope Anaheim, because of its amazing, immense growth that we've seen in the last, I would say, 20 years or so, I hope they get some type of, all-out transportation system, because I think it would be very convenient for people. Hey, I can stay by Angel Stadium, I can hit the game, and I can beeline it over to Disneyland. Or if I'm staying at Disney, hey, I can go to Honda Center and watch a game there. It'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't know if it'll actually come about. It's so frustrating. Indeed. Let's see right here. Let me see if I can put on one more story for you guys that I think is pretty good right here. Let's see if I'm ready. Oh, yes. Here we go. Here's what I want to talk about. MJ, I hope you're a Harry Potter fan, because, boy, we're going to be talking about some Harry Potter. And for a good reason, too. Look, Harry Potter is a huge, massive franchise. It put Universal Studios on the map in 2010 in the hearts and minds of theme park fans everywhere when they constructed the first Wizarding World of Harry Potter, that being at Islands of Adventure in 2010. Big stuff. Well, I don't know if you know this, but Universal is developing a new park in the United Kingdom right now, and it's awesome. It's fantastic. We've seen some concept artwork, and everybody's breaking it down, going, which franchise is going to be here, and what's going to be featured there, and it's awesome. But there's one big omission, especially for it being, in the United Kingdom and next to London. Where is Harry Potter? Like, everybody's been asking, what's going on with your arguably biggest franchise, at least when it comes to theme parks? Well, now we might have a little bit of an answer as to what that might be. Here you go, from That Park Place. When this was originally written, folks, it was under the assumption that, hey, maybe these talks have stalled. And you can see right here, Universal UK Harry Potter attraction stalled amid licensing wrangle. September 8th, 2025, Marvin Montanaro. Well, The Sun, I think, did update their article to include additional information that suggests that this might have they might have overcome their issues regarding the licensing agreements, and Harry Potter be on the way. Here you go from The Sun. Wonderland, Universal's $5 billion British pound sterling, I do believe, UK theme park to feature Harry Potter attraction after lengthy rights battle. Let's see right here. I don't know why. Son, come on, what are you doing to me? You got random videos playing in your articles, and then guess what? When I scroll down, oh, it didn't do it this time. Good. Okay, maybe the site's broken. I don't know. When Universal Studios announced that they were opening a theme park in Bedford earlier this year, everyone assumed a large chunk of it would be devoted to Harry Potter. After all, the upcoming HBO TV series is going to introduce a whole new generation, the Lights of the Boy Wizard, and similar attractions exist already in the US and Japan. But I can reveal, this being the author, behind the scenes, work has only just started on the Harry Potter theme park because for the past 5 months, Universal have been locked in negotiations with rival studios Warner Brothers and J.K. Rowling, who own the rights to the stories. And we noted that too, and this article does as well, this kind of making of Harry Potter experience that exists in London, which is like 30 miles away from the Bedford site, was kind of a sticking point. It was like, well, you already have a theme park presence, maybe not a theme park presence, but a themed amusement presence in the form of this making of Harry Potter, a kind of walkthrough exhibit that showcases sets and showpieces and so forth from the movies. How is this going to work if you have a Universal UK park that might also include Harry Potter? There you go. An insider said, it's not clear exactly what agreement has been reached, but Universal now have their creative teams drawing up plans for the Harry Potter attraction in earnest. Quote, it's been a tense time during discussions between the rival studios, but they feel like it's been worth it, particularly with the new Harry Potter TV series. Universal has yet to publicly confirm the Harry Potter theme park is happening, with a spokesman from the studio insisting it was still too early in the process to know. But, at least according to this insider, they feel that Harry Potter is finally on the table for Universal Studios UK. And we've got a name, maybe, that this theme park enterprise will actually go by. But I want to know from you guys, are you excited that Harry Potter is making its way to London, where it originated, actually?
That's the motherland. Why would they omit that from their plans? Are you kidding me? Like,
I was as surprised as you were, but it's a rights issue.
Bonkers. Amazing. They have to, people want thrills. They want to be able to experience the same thrills that we have in Hollywood, California, Orlando, Florida. They should just, I don't know, that's crazy. So they're writing up the plans for it, but we don't know what the land is going to look like. Is it going to be Hogwarts, or is it going to be Diagon Alley like we have over here? Like, what is it going to be?
Hogsmeade, yeah. Who knows?
Yeah, we really don't know. Some people have suggested that they might do something entirely unique for this area, because I think, from what I understand, Universal still wants there to be a reason or justification for those UK visitors to come from London or the UK, England, over to Florida still, because that's actually a big part of their business. So, you know, and I think the Theme Park Wizard has stated something similar, that they want these two properties to be distinct, so there's reasons to go to both. And I think Mark Woodbury and some of the other Universal creative executives and Universal is it Destinations Experiences? I can't quite remember, but some of the executives have said that we want to make Universal UK a really a world destination type resort enterprise, where unlike Hollywood or unlike maybe Universal or Unleashed over there in Vegas, that's more of a regional kind of attraction. Frisco, for example, the Universal Kids Resort, much more regional thing. They want Universal UK to be a worldwide destination right there. Bob, your thoughts on this?
Well, I had no doubt that they were going to work something out eventually, because they have to. I know they have the studio and museum there that's only an hour away that you can go to and check it out. but you can't do, you know, a Universal Park and not have the Harry Potter land or some sort of land there. Like NJ said, it's going to be something different, and I think Theme Park Wizards said the same thing in the chat. They can't do the same thing as Hogsmeade. They can't do Diagon Alley. They're going to have to do something different from the Harry Potter world. So hopefully they'll choose something really cool and unique. I think they will. They've obviously done a great job with, you know, the different rides and attractions over in Florida, and obviously with you know, Epic Universe opening up. Obviously, they're also bringing some of that stuff over to Universal Studios Hollywood. So I'm not real shocked that they're going to do something else over there. I just hope that it is completely different from what we have over there, so that one, it's a different experience, and two, it's something that's cool, new, and amazing. And I think they will.
I mean, I am super excited for this resort right here. And look, I'm not the biggest Harry Potter fan, I got to be honest with you, but I absolutely love and crave the Universal theme park product that features Harry Potter, if that makes any sense. You know, the Universal has done an amazing job, not just with their own IP, which, you know, I guess could be argued if you're including like Fast and the Furious, but if you include like Super Nintendo World, for example, or you know, Harry Potter in general, they've just done an amazing job bringing these worlds and these concepts to life. Man, I am, like MJ said, it's crazy to think that Universal UK would be without a Harry Potter. Now to know that's kind of back on the table, or at least being pursued, I think that's absolutely awesome. And if we put this up on screen right here, there was a recent trademark over there in the UK. Universal United Kingdom Resort is looking like that's going to be the official name for Universal UK. Again, they haven't officially announced what the name actually is, but with this new filing, pretty confident that's what it's going to be. I will say, pretty solid. Some people are like, well, they should involve Universal Studios in there. No, I think Universal United Kingdom is pretty good. I think it rings off the tongue. I think it's still consistent with the Universal branding, because I don't think it's Universal Studios Islands of Adventure. I think it's Universal's Islands of Adventure, and I think it's also Universal's Epic Universe. So it's kind of consistent with this kind of name change there.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, MJ. I can never remember. And then you have Universal Studios Florida, which is maybe a little bit confusing, because then you also have Universal Studios Hollywood, Universal United Kingdom. I think that's.
You made a really good point earlier when you were talking about all of the different lands. We have a super, and I'm kind of gonna shout out a little bit to the Wizard Theme Park Wizard. We have a Nintendo World in Hollywood, Orlando now, and in Japan, and they're all kind of the same. However, Disney decided to make sure that the world of Frozen, they're giving everyone a reason to travel to Tokyo to go visit the world of Frozen. We don't have that over here. Right. So it's almost like we can all say it's got to be different. It can't be Hogsmeade. It cannot be Diagon Alley. It cannot be Ministry of Magic. It has to be something else more enticing to get everyone over there. If you're a huge Harry Potter fan, I have to see this. I have to smell it. I have to drink all the drinks and eat all the food, ride all the rides. So what could they possibly be similar to what we have over here? We don't know. It could very well be another Hogwarts castle. We just don't know. I mean, nothing goes by me, because we have 3 already Nintendo worlds that are very, very similar. If not, they're almost the same, unless I'm wrong. Please, someone correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know.
Well, so this is an interesting conversation, because people have argued, it's like, okay, the reason why you duplicate concepts, attractions, lands, whatever, is to cut down development costs, right? You only have to develop those things once, and then you can go ahead and modify those to some degree and cut down on costs overall, because, well, now you're just producing, 2 different things, or as Bob Iger would say, we're building 2, with Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. But that obviously leads to some complications. For example, I know they had to move heaven and earth to try to rejigger Star Wars Galaxy's Edge for Disney's Hollywood Studios, because it was like a mirror image almost of Disneyland. And really, a lot of those design concepts, they were intended for Disneyland more than they were intended for Disney's Hollywood Studios. And so you had to remove some stuff, and where that is placed right now is not ideal, especially for expansion later on. And that's why Monsters Inc. is going in that kind of funky place right there. It's just not super cohesive. But we did get two, and like I said, we're $1 billion each. And I suppose when you want to talk about extending your capital expenditure budget, maybe that was a good shot. I'm not quite entirely sure on that, but c'est la vie. When it comes to like Frozen, they are definitely distinct between the various resorts. So you have Hong Kong, you have Tokyo's, you have Paris's, and those are really, like you said, MJ. They do have their differences, especially Tokyo. That's probably one that's probably the most different. Even its attraction is very, very different in that regard. But I think, I don't know if Chapek actually said this, but I know Chapek was a big proponent of duplicating attractions. Tron, for example, right, from Shanghai to Magic Kingdom. From a fan standpoint, it's like, well, I like those resorts to be distinct and different because, when I go over there, I want to have completely different attractions. And that is true. I think from a fan standpoint, I would definitely advocate for that for sure. Always, offering something new, something fresh, even if it's the same IP. For Universal, especially for the UK tourist, when you have so many people that can cross over the pond and can make their way to Universal Orlando, I think it's, and for how much of international visitation that generates revenue for Comcast businesses and Orlando and so forth, it's very crucial that these be distinct. And it's very crucial that you have a reason, a justification to see the entire Wizarding World, no matter on which coast it's on. I think this is critical right here, and it's a good move. Hopefully, these will be distinct. And like I said, I think they will be. Any additional thoughts on Universal United Kingdom? Hey, maybe there's a franchise that you would want to see. Back to the Future, maybe, possibly. I don't know. Your guys' thoughts on that?
MJ, I'll let you go.
Oh no, go ahead, Bob. By all means. Are you a Harry Potter fan? I love the series. So
yeah, I love Harry Potter, and I've enjoyed everything they've built so far for the lands. Obviously, Hollywood's just kind of getting the same stuff as Florida, so nothing really new there. But it is great having it over here instead of having to fly over there, since I'm on the West Coast. I would love to see Back to the Future make a comeback, not necessarily in the same form it was before. I think they could do something else. I think that with the Fan Fest that they just did this past year, it really got people excited about Back to the Future again. So I think that would be a great IP to revisit. But the great thing about Universal is they do have a lot of great different IPs they can choose and use. And there's a lot of things that they have not done yet that I think they could expand upon. So they have a wealth of entertainment to pull from, and I hope they continue to do that and do new and exciting things like Epic Universe. And I'm looking forward to seeing what's happening in Bedford be the same thing, because I would love to see some new land, some new attractions, some new things, because that's the problem with Disney right now. They don't have anything new. We've talked about this many times. They keep using the same IP stuff without coming up with new rides, like Matterhorn or Big Thunder Mountain, or things that are not big IPs. And I think that that's what they need to do. They need to start getting back into the game and doing some new stuff instead of just pulling stuff from Pixar and Disney constantly. So I would love to see Universal, continue to do their IPs, but also do some new interesting stuff as well.
Yeah, I'm
absolutely.
excited what they have. Bedford, it would be great to see something completely different than what we have here in the United States. We're dying to see it. We want to hear all about it. I just don't know what else they could possibly do that could be different. I'm trying to think because I've seen the movies so many times. I'm just trying to think of what else they could add over there that we don't already have. But I mean, yeah, look at what you're exactly right, Bob. It's so true. I mean, you know, Monsters Inc. That movie came out, I don't even remember, 2002, 2001, and they're just now building a whole land. But it's so funny how everything is disappearing from the West Coast, Monsters Inc. wise, and where is it going to land? What are they going to do with all those things that they just removed from Disneyland's park, Monsters Inc. related?
Well, they're building a whole Avatar land over there.
Right.
That's why they're getting rid of it. But I think we're going to hear a lot more come down the pipeline with that whole Hollywood Studios area going away because they haven't been doing anything with a lot of that area. Obviously the Hyperion Theater, they haven't used that. That's a waste of space. I think that's going to go away. They're going to start making some announcements. I think by D23 next year, we're going to hear a lot of stuff that we probably don't want to hear.
I just hope I don't see any recycled material from Anaheim over here in Hollywood Studios. That would totally.
You might.
I'm pretty confident
I'm pretty sure you're going to get some of that stuff.
I gotta believe. At the same time, these attractions are going up and down. You know, I gotta believe they're gonna reusing some assets right there, which you know maybe a little bit unfortunate. But hey, I don't mind the reuse of some stuff in order to more fill out maybe a different experience as long as you have some other stuff with it so that it doesn't become so obvious. I'm reminded of like World of Motion, for example, when that actually went down in Epcot. A lot of those animatronics actually made their way to Disneyland's Pirates of the Caribbean and to great effect. And it was really something to experience that in the 90s. It was like, oh, hey, that wasn't there before. You know, that was kind of cool. But you know, it just all kind of depends on the implementation. I do agree with you, MJ. I like all new stuff. But, you know, sometimes Disney can't help themselves. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. I see a lot of people actually in the chat talking about the gondola system and you know, whether or not it can actually move enough people at all. That's the thing. The throughput as far as a gondola system is, I think, my biggest concern for sure. How many people can it move per hour? Gondolas historically haven't been all, I would say, that people moving. I know the Skyliner does actually do a pretty good clip, but nothing compared to like the end result of a people mover and monorail. And I'm reminded of this concept actually right here. This is the original concept for Westcott, or the Disneyland Resort as it was originally conceived back in the late 80s, early 90s. The idea being like, we want a Walt Disney World West. That was the idea, right? And you had Westcott, which Westcott, obviously the West Coast version of Epcot, but the beautiful thing about that was that it was going to have a berm because okay, this gets into the weeds here, but stay with me. You have the Disney Cone out there in Anaheim. The Disney Cone is, you have height restrictions for each of the structures and buildings that immediately surround Disneyland, and then as it radiates out, you're allowed to build much taller buildings. The idea being that none of those buildings encroach into Disneyland, even though it's in the middle of a city. Now, Walt Disney moved heaven and earth himself to get that approved, and he did. Problem was, okay, if you're going to build in the parking lot, your newest theme park, how do you keep the outside world from looking in? The Imagineers were like, that's an interesting question. Let's build a series of resort hotels that create a new berm around the kind of southern flank of the Disneyland Resort, now our new theme park, and that is our berm. That's how we keep everybody from being able to see the outside world. And the beauty of that is that instead of like Epcot where you have distinct pavilions, this was going to be, you have distinct regions. And so you were going to have like Egyptian architecture, Asian architecture, you know, and you could see the blending of like China to Japan, for instance, or, you know, kind of sub-Saharan Africa and Egypt and all that kind of stuff. And that was going to flank your theme park in the form of Westcott. It was a beautiful, amazing idea. It was awesome, and it would have provided you a lot more resort hotel capacity than the Disneyland Resort currently enjoys. I think it's like, what, less than 10,000 rooms? It's probably less than 5,000, actually. I have numbers somewhere. But, you know, you only had 3 resort hotels. Not so great. Westcott would have solved all of that. But if you look at this plan right here, you can actually see the monorail was going to be expanded from when it was originally set. I want to say 1995, 96 was the last time they actually altered the monorail track at all, and that was for the construction of Indiana Jones. They only moved that a little bit southern. This would have expanded the monorail loop. You would have had multiple stops. You would have had multiple resort hotels. You would have had a bank of 2 parking structures on either end, that being, you know, roughly where the Mickey and Friends parking structure is right now, but you also would have had like an Eastern Gateway-like parking structure on the other side of Harbor Boulevard, and then you would have had people movers taking you inside and out of the Disneyland Plaza, now known as the Esplanade. Crazy, phenomenal, amazing idea! And they didn't go forward with any of it. Why? Because it was all too expensive. And for people wondering, like, okay, you know, a gondola system is not as high capacity as like a people mover or a monorail system, right? We should be utilizing those systems. I agree. But you know who didn't actually implement that system recently? Disney, who has monorails and people movers. Why? Because it was too expensive. And that's why they went with the Skyliner. For a city looking to develop these plans, especially for a city like Anaheim, who relies on hotel revenue and so forth in order to make their annual budgets and all their investments and all of that, there's no way. I mean, if you're talking a gondola system is going to be $127 million, there's absolutely not a chance that they would go forward with a monorail or people system, which is totally unfortunate, and it sucks, and I hate it. But that's just the fiscal reality. Anyway, that's what I have to say on that.
What is the weather in Anaheim? Like, how is the weather over there compared to Florida? Is it very similar?
That's a great that's a great consideration, actually. Weather does come into play here this a lot. So Florida, it rains, you know, almost every single day in the summer, and you know, it rains various showers, you know, in the other seasons, obviously. But at Disneyland in Southern California, you're talking about little to no humidity almost at any time of the year. Probably what? Maybe it gets to 42% humidity in the summer, and that's on a really humid, muggy day.
It can get more than that, actually. It just depends.
Okay.
Usually between August
depends.
and October.
But it almost never rains. The natural topography of Southern California, especially in the Anaheim area, is like a desert. That's what it really is.
Yeah, it's
so
hot heat.
Maybe that's why they thought it would be a good idea, because see, the Skyliner in Florida is always, you know, at a halt or down. There's a lot of downtime because of the weather we have over here. But maybe that's why they wanted that system over there, because they figured, oh, it's dry weather, it's heat, desert area, doesn't rain, you know, it's not like the Florida weather, so it will have less downtime, but still the maintenance and the we always have refurbishment. Like, we're coming up to a refurbishment where it's going to be, the Skyliner will not be available for at least 2 or 3 months. That's coming up next year in the beginning of the year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it does seem like Irvine is pursuing their a gondola system for their city pretty hard, and so it, you know, there's a variety of factors that go into that. But I think one of those would be weather. MJ, I think you're exactly right on that. Does the Skyliner actually close? Like okay, if there's light showers, does it stay open? Heavy showers, does it close?
Yeah, so light showers, it runs when there's inclement weather and high winds. You have to find some form of transportation, but that's the beauty of Walt Disney World. We're in a bubble, so we have all these different ways of getting around if you're staying on property. If you're not staying on property, then you're going to have to figure it out There's other means. There's like Uber, Lyft. You could drive, rent a car, whatever you have to do. But if you're staying on property and you're within the bubble, you're not out of luck. You can take the monorail in some circumstances, and being on where you're staying, or the shuttles. We have all the buses that run every 15 minutes. So that's what
the transportation network at Walt Disney World is one of the most impressive aspects of Walt Disney World. Like, it's pretty insane when you think about it logically and how you would actually assemble all that. It is crazy how that all goes together, and it is extremely impressive. And I know that Universal has wanted to duplicate something like that, as we were saying before. Anaheim for sure wants to be able to move people from one area to another in order for people to really make use of all their facilities and so forth, all their entertainment venues. And Native Hawaiian comes in here when the Santa Ana winds kick in. I believe that's what it means. Anaheim is absolutely lovely. Absolutely it is. That's the other thing too, Bob. Those winds kick in. Whoa, watch out. They can be kind of fierce.
Right, and they can usually hang around anywhere from 24 to 72 hours, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter, just depends. But yeah, when the winds do kick in, and thankfully they don't kick in all that often, but when they do, it's pretty bad. So yeah, they wouldn't be able to use this system probably.
The system would go down way too often, and people would be really, really, really irate. It would not be good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Skyliner moves about 4,500 people per hour. Yeah, it's a decent clip. When compared to like a people move, for instance, I know if I remember correctly, the official hourly capacity of the Disneyland people mover as it existed between 67 and 94 was about, I think it was maybe 96. I think it was about 5,000. So that's kind of the difference right there. I mean, it was very, very efficient. Skyliner, though, showing up. Thank you so much, Texas 84. Paul Newitt comes in here. I was in the Monorail Society, and the cost of the monorail track can vary quite a lot. Yes, it can. It can, but you're in earthquake country out there in Anaheim. That's a whole different line of expenditure right there. And it's unfortunate. But what isn't unfortunate is our amazing panel and you out there who have watched us for our entire run right here. Thank you so much for watching T3PO Live. MJ, why don't you go ahead and shout out where we can find you on this great, big, beautiful web out there.
I started as a guest and was encouraged by the previous panels. So I'm working on some social media. I put my @magicallymj. That's my Instagram. And I'm working on building some content on there in my YouTube channel. I am Magically Me. So maybe the next time I can update it on here. And then I'm also building up a nice little Twitter account. So working on some things to give people tips on how to get around. I just came back from the Walt Disney World Resort with my family. I was denied again for gas. I don't know if you guys remember me from the previous, when Vash first had me on the show, I shared my experience with the DAS system here in Walt Disney World, and I was denied. But we got around and we had a great day and we made the best of it. I will share my experience probably on the next show. But I want to be as informative as possible, give people tips on not just the disability system, but how to maneuver around the parks. That's the kind of content I would like to provide so that you are not miserable on your trip to the most magical place on earth. That's what I would like to give the people.
That is fantastic. Thank you so much, MJ, for all of that. If you could, in the private chat on the side of your streamer right there, go ahead and put your social medias in there, and we'll go and see if we can actually put that in the chat. That way everybody has access to those. Now, Bob, I was just reading the messages in the StreamYard, and I know you sent me something that I honestly completely forgot about, but it's such a big story. We got to cover it at least a little bit. I know we were winding down here, but this was a pretty big thing. So let me see if I can get this to be where I need it to be so that all of you can see it. We did have some recent news come out of, I guess Six Flags, but it's really Knott's Berry Farm. And they are changing a couple of things at that historic theme park over there in Buena Park. Let me see if I can get this up right now and show all of you, because I think, this isn't great. This isn't great what they're doing. So, Knott's Berry Farm is implementing a locker system. So, previously, when you look at attractions like Hang Time or Ghost Rider or Silver Bullet, all those amazing roller coasters that we so love at Knott's Berry Farm, they provided you with these cubbies that you could use for your personal possessions before you actually boarded on the coaster itself. Now, where these cubbies were placed, maybe not in the most convenient location, because you actually, in a lot of cases, had to walk over the ride vehicles or these coaster cars, get to those cubbies, put your stuff in, and then walk back to those ride vehicles or coaster cars and actually, board your attraction and ride. Not the greatest, especially for operations. Now, they've decided we're going to do away with those cubbies, and we're going to have a locker system. Now, you might be thinking, oh, well, locker system works out great for Universal Studios. And it does, because those lockers are included. Oh, no, not for Knott's Berry Farm, they're not. They will be charged lockers no matter what. And how they'll work, Ghost Rider, Hang Time, and Silver Bullet will offer lockers for $2 for a 2-hour rental period. Look for the ride locker signs near the entrance to the queue. Yes, $2 for 2 hours, which isn't, I guess, the worst thing in the world. But if you're a coaster junkie and you're looking to get your credits and maybe ride these coasters multiple times, you could be paying maybe $10 or $15, depending on how many times you ride these noteworthy coasters at Knott's Berry Farm for your entire day. Bob, it's not good. I don't like this. Go ahead.
No, I'm really frustrated by this because, Knott's is now part of Six Flags Entertainment. And of course, they've always had these cubbies that you can use in Knott's Berry Farm. Unfortunately, the new locker system they want to implement, you can't do what they do at Universal Studios with the Velocicoaster or Tron roller coaster over at Walt Disney World. That'd be great if you had the locker system where it's like you put your stuff in, you go on the other side, you take it out. It's great. It's free. It's perfect. Here, it's like, well, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do this because we want the wait times to be less. We want you to have more opportunities to go on rides and shows and attractions. But really, it's not going to do any of that. And they're only doing it for 3 rides. They're doing it for their top 3 rides, the Ghost Rider, Hang Time, and Silver Bullet. But you got Accelerator. That is a massive coaster right there. You can't take anything on that ride, but they're going to keep the cubbies, You got Sierra Sidewinder, another great family roller coaster. You can't, take stuff on that ride, but they have the cubbies still. So if they're going to keep the cubbies for most of the rides, why are they doing it for these rides? I think it's just a quick money cash grab. It just drives me nuts that they're doing it. I think their theory is very flawed. I don't think it's going to help reduce wait times and help people get to the rides and attractions that they want to. I just think it's terrible. If they were able to build a new ride, maybe they could do the new locker system like Universal and Disney has done, and that would be great. But it just seems like a cash grab to me, and it's just driving me nuts because if they're going to implement this, they probably should have implemented for the whole park. Not that I want them to, but they're just doing it for 3 rides. I think they're testing it out to see how it goes, and if it goes well and they make a bunch of money, they're going to do it for all the other rides, and that's what's going to probably happen.
I don't like this at all. I don't like this. I don't like that how they're treating this historic park right here. Now, obviously, this okay. Knott's Berry Farm is part of the Six Flags chain now because Six Flags and previously Cedar Fair, which used to own Knott's Berry Farm, merged, and it's caused all kinds of havoc throughout the themed entertainment industry, various coaster manufacturers and so forth. A lot of the enthusiast community, the coaster enthusiast community that is, has been irked by this. And it was under the auspices of, okay, we're going to go ahead and reduce our operating costs in order to provide a better experience for both shareholders and for guests. Okay, great. But we really haven't been seeing that at all since this merger actually took place. And it seems like Cedar Fair didn't fully realize just the kind of the issues plaguing the Six Flags chain, and what was really at issue with Six Flags itself. I don't think they understood that the situation was as dire as it was. Remember, Six Flags still had a mountain of debt that they had inherited from their previous ownership when they were part of, I think, Time Warner and like all of that kind of stuff. Anyway, it just goes back a long way. You have, historically, you have a lot of coasters that were part of the Six Flags chain for the various parks around the United States that were taking up huge mass sums of their maintenance budgets. Like, I've heard, Bob, I don't know if you know this, I've heard like X2, for example, takes up a third of the annual maintenance budget for Magic Mountain.
Yep.
And it's like, can we necessarily afford to maintain that attraction and keep it going and keep it? That's a scary thought. King Ka, obviously being a prototype, it was like the third iteration, but really kind of a prototype coaster in that it had a first of its kind launch system implemented on that attraction. Very expensive to maintain. Obviously, had to tear it down and all of that. And so we've just been getting these sweeping changes across the Six Flags chain that have, I don't know, not been a net gain, I think, for park goers. I think one of the best decisions that they made, Six Flags that is that they got rid of like what the convenience charge on like concessions. You remember that, Bob? They were charging like a couple bucks or whatever for every single transaction. It was just ridiculous. Took that away. That's just good. But because Six Flags might be so cash strapped, it's like, well, now we had to really start bringing the money in. And I think, I think Six Flags on the recent earnings call said that did they say that attendance or revenue was down by 8%, which is a little bit concerning. Do you remember which statistic that was, Bob?
I don't know which one it was.
Yeah, it's not great. And we did cover this on That Park Place, talking about like Matt Ouimet, for example, the previous CEO of Cedar Fair. He was also the previous president of Disneyland for a short period of time. Really rejuvenized that theme park post Pressler era. That's a whole other discussion. Anyway, he came out and said, I'm greatly opposed to a lot of the decisions that they've been making over at the Six Flags chain and all of that. Not a fan of reducing headcount by 10%, removing a lot of noteworthy executives that have been there for years, that have, invaluable knowledge on the theme park operation and so forth. It hasn't looked very good at all. And so this kind of, like Bob was saying, this kind of cash grab effort, I don't appreciate it all. MJ, if let's say you had to pay each time you wanted to ride Tron or Velocicoaster or any of those other great coasters out there in Orlando every single time you wanted to ride, would that damper your enthusiasm to even visiting these parks to begin with? Your thoughts?
I wouldn't say it would put a damper, because if you're a fan of the franchise and you traveled and, let's say you planned this whole vacation, but you were not anticipating on having to pay for this, locker, I would say I wouldn't be discouraged from going on the attraction. I would be disappointed on coming back again because it was an inconvenience and I didn't factor it into my vacation budget. Some people are on a budget when they go on these trips. Some people travel in big groups, large families, what have you. And then there's some people that, just don't care. They have a credit card, they can swipe it. It doesn't matter to them. But when you're on a budget, these things can hurt. And it's unfortunate because, people make plans for these things. It's not, sometimes people only have one vacation every X amount of years or whatever. It's unfortunate. It's the greed is just, getting greater. It's disgusting. It's not,
I would say that if the park is expecting you not to take stuff on the ride then really they should provide lockers so that you can actually, put the stuff in the lockers and it wouldn't cost you anything. That's my whole thing. But again, it seems like cash grab. And I did look it up, Vash. So attendance is down by 9%, revenue's off by $100 million, and the debt is swelling to $5 billion for Six Flags Entertainment. That's crazy.
Yeah. And the themed entertainment industry outside of the big two aren't doing that well. And I would argue that outside of Universal, the entertainment industry, the themed entertainment industry, that is, with theme parks in general, isn't doing that well right now, honestly. I mean, if you look at, we were just going over with MJ, actually, Labor Day attendance for, like, Magic Kingdom, for example, like, there's less people going. So, and one way I can understand wanting to make up some of that shortfall through these methods. On the other hand, especially with a regional theme park like this, like I think MJ beautifully pointed out, I don't think it's that great right there. It's just depressing to see them implement stuff like this. It's just sad. It does affect ops, no question, Bob. That not as many trains are able to depart per hour because of personal possessions. This is a poor way of going about it, in my view.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think one of the things they're trying to do right now too, and I don't know if you guys know this, but if you live close to a Six Flags Park or Knott's Berry Farm or Cedar Fairs, they've got a really good deal right now. And if you sign up for your home park, you get not only that home park, but you get all the Six Flags entertainment parks around the United States for one price, which is pretty amazing. And that starts with the gold pass. Again, and it's funny because if you look at Six Flags Magic Mountain out by us, it's actually cheaper to go there, but then that's your home park. It's like an hour and 15 minutes from where I live, so it's not really feasible to do so compared to like Knott's Berry Farm. But they do have some really cool perks right now. They're trying to get people out to the parks, and they're trying to spur some of that revenue. And I think it's a great goodwill thing that they are trying to do. Parking is not always included at the other parks. It is for your home park, but it is kind of cool that they are allowing guests to go to all the different parks, and hopefully that will help Six Flags Entertainment.
I hope so. To me, when you're giving away a year's entry for a single admission or doing these really steep discounts to get people in, it kind of reeks of desperation just a little bit. Hopefully it does actually amount to increased sales and increased visitation, because I think some of these parks are amazing. Knott's Berry Farm is like one of the best regional amusement parks there is. There's no question about that. The entertainment offerings are outstanding, top-notch service, everything like that. Fantastic stuff. Gonna be really interesting. We'll cover more of the Six Flags deal actually in future That Park Place coverage. That's for sure. These lockers, I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. Hey, hopefully you get better operations because of it. But I assume they're doing this also too, Bob, in order to maybe cut staff. That's kind of my theory in regards to that, right? Very rarely do these operational efficiencies are they passed on to the guest without some cutback somewhere else. So
yep, we'll see.
Not good. Bob, why don't you go ahead and tell the fine people where they can find you out there in the web, both at Barry Place 28 and Park Streamers Hangout.
You can find me at Barry Place 28 on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, X, and Facebook. You can also find me at the Park Streamers Hangout with Theme Park Casual and Courting, California. We usually have a show every 2 weeks on a Monday around 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we're on, we have our own blog site, parkstreamers.com, as well as our channel on YouTube. And I will be streaming again for Barry Place 28 on Thursday at the Oogie Boogie Bash. So I hope you guys will come join me. I'm about 500 subs away from 20,000. So I'm hoping that maybe by Thursday I will be there and we can celebrate. So come hang out with me Thursday to come check out Oogie Boogie Bash and maybe celebrate 20,000 subs. And then I'll be back again on Sunday for a little live stream at Disneyland.
Fantastic. I cannot wait. Cannot wait, Bob, to see Ookie Wookie Bash through your amazing lens right there. Out of, everybody who actually does in-park streaming, Bob truly is one of the best. He really, really is. His production value is second to none. He's a great voice to listen to and have information come from when you're actually visiting these parks through that amazing camera lens of his. Fantastic stuff. And we also got MJ's Instagram account over there in the chat as well. Definitely check that out for sure. Park Streamers Hangout is one of the best programs when it comes to content disseminated by the amazing theme park casual and Cordy in California. Awesome stuff. I'm trying to see where to redirect everybody to. Give me just 1 second, folks. Oh yes, absolutely. Let me see. Is there anybody streaming right now that we can go ahead and send people to? I don't know. Chat. Need suggestions.
Let's see.
I don't know. I don't think anybody's streaming right now. We usually would actually redirect to Mr. H, and that's something too. We have been discussing the various schedules and so forth, so that's going to be very interesting to see. I don't think anybody.
No, it's just Donnyland's the only one that I know besides a couple others. So
yeah,
if you like Donnyland, go check out Disneyland. They're doing it right now.
All right. I think we can maybe do something there. Yeah, Donnyland is streaming. Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and send everybody that way then. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us for T3PO Live. MJ, thank you so much. Very much appreciate that. Bob, I know your time is extremely valuable nowadays, so thank you for spending it here with me, with us. Very much appreciated for sure. All right, let's go ahead and get out of here and go over to Donnyland. Hey, if you go ahead and tell him maybe T3PO raid, that might be nice. He might be like, what? Who is this? Well, thank you. That might be a little bit funny. Also, too, if you want to send us your questions at Hollywood Backlit with Lou and you, T3PO online at yahoo.com. That's going to be a show that I host with the amazing Lou Wasserman's Ghost every single Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern. That Park Place, T3PO Live, you get it. You understand the thing. Make sure you hit that like button right there. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't. And we will see you on the next T3PO Live here on That Odd Place. Oh, good stuff right there. Now, if I can only find the button. There you go. That's it. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Bye, everyone.
You know what? That was premature because we have Super Chats. I was like, whoa, that's not good. Jay with $2. Gondolas. Santa Ana wins. Doesn't sound pleasant. No, it does not. That's for sure. And Cohen Film with $9.99. Thank you so much. Have ridden Amtrak business class from Disneyland to home. I thought connecting Disneyland to Arctic Anaheim Regional Transportation Intermodal Center. Wow. Whew. Thanks for that. Would be interesting. I think it would be interesting. That is for sure. Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Very much appreciate that. Sorry about that. I completely forgot. Nolan, we need you back, Nolan. Come back here. I need my producer here to help me out and keep me on the straight and narrow. Thanks, guys. Very much appreciate that. We will see you now officially next week. Thanks.